welcome to The Last Word. Is the Third Front a credible idea or just an unrealizable dream? My guests are BJD Lok Sabha leader Jai Panda, CPI National Secretary and MP D. Raja, Trinamool Congress Chief Spokesman and MP Derek O'Brien, and the well-known senior journalist Neerja Chaudhary. Jai Panda, 11 non-Congress, non-BJP parties, including your own Biju Janata Dal, have come together suggesting the potential emergence of a third front. But beyond an act of political convenience, what do you have in common in terms of outlook, leadership, and economic philosophy?
The meeting yesterday was to coordinate inside Parliament to oppose what this government is doing, which is on the one hand trying to take the moral high ground, and on the other hand its own members are disrupting Parliament and stopping crucial bills from passing. Now, how far this progresses and how we coordinate for possibly providing an alternative to a BJP or a Congress-led government still needs work. But I wouldn't call it convenience at all. In fact, I think, Karan, you will agree that it is in fact quite difficult to patch together such coalitions. But I want to also point out that every government in the last 2 decades has been a coalition government. And whether the next government is one that involves the BJP or the Congress, or it is indeed an alternative to the BJP or the Congress, it will involve about 20 or so parties and will still require coalition management. But clearly there's an appetite for that in much of India if you go outside of Delhi.
You know, it's the difficulties in putting together a third front that I want to explore, Mr. Raja. And the first problem is that you simply can't bring together all the non-Congress, non-BJP parties on one platform. The TMC won't join you because they don't like the left parties. The DMK won't join because of their antipathy to the AIA-DMK. Mayawati won't join because of her opposition to Mulayam. So the first problem you face is that some of the biggest regional players are simply outside your fold and there's no possibility of bringing them in.
I agree with you on one point that there are contradictions among non-BJP, non-Congress political parties. At the same time, there is a possibility to bring non-Congress, non-BJP political parties which agree to work together on certain policy framework. And we have experiences in the country in the past when United Front was formed. It was formed after the elections as an alternative to both BJP and Congress. The country is looking for an alternative, and hardly there is any difference that people see between Congress and BJP as far as economic policies are concerned or foreign policies are concerned. Therefore, there is a definite space for non-Congress, non-BJP parties to agree upon certain common program in the interest of the people and come together. As far as left parties are concerned, we are striving for such an alternative. Even we don't call it as a third front. We say it is an alternative.
Let's make it a short answer because I want to bring in the TMC and I want to point this out. Even if you accept the limited terms in which Mr. Raja believes a third front is possible, i.e. just with those who are prepared to work together, which clearly excludes you, you still have 11 parties who together comprise 209 seats in the Lok Sabha. And I'm excluding from that tally Bengal's 42 seats. If they win even 50% of that 209, it's a very credible force, Derek O'Brien. You can't deny that.
Let me make firstly the position of my own party very clear. We are fighting, Trinamool Congress are fighting these Lok Sabha elections on their own against the Congress, the BJP, and of course the left. But the left has already become such an irrelevant yesterday's force, so their numbers will be very, very poor. I want to respond
so you
take up from
you think,
Jai
but you have no reason to say that with certainty. The polls are not saying that.
Absolutely. No. The opinion polls, please look at all the 3 opinion polls, but leave the opinion polls aside. The ground reality in Bengal, the left even know that. Mr. Gurudas Dasgupta is not standing for election. I'm coming back to the point, yes. I think Jai Panda made 2 interesting points, and I want to just respond to what Jai says. One, this meeting yesterday, as a starting point, as he said, was a coordination for these various parties who got there. Coordination for the next few days in Parliament. I think where we are coming from, I'm on the same page as Jai in terms of the regional aspirations, the strength of the regional parties. The only difference is we are not going into any third front. We believe there's a strong possibility, there is a real possibility of this federal front with players like Jai's party and many other parties and the party I represent.
So you're hoping, hang on a second, you're hoping to steal Jai's party. No, just a moment. Are you suggesting to me that you're going to steal Jai's party from the third front and create a federal front? In other words, you want to juggle the balls differently, but it's the same balls you're juggling.
No, there's no. Listen, Mr. Thapar, there are no balls to be juggling. The only ball which we are focused on scoring is to do great development. In the states where we are strong.
All right.
Let the people of that state reward us with a large number of Lok Sabha seats.
Derek O'Brien, every party claims that they want to concentrate on development in their state. I don't dispute that. I want to concentrate on the possibilities of the third front. Neeta Chaudhary, Narendra Modi has said that the third front will make India third rate. No doubt he's trying to create in people fear of the United Front experience, fear of the National Front experience. But is this just political rhetoric, or do you think that is a potent fear which, evoked, can actually make people not vote for anything that looks like a possible third front?
Look, the fear of a third front which spells instability or short-term governance, which we've seen in the past, is a fear that the middle class harbors to a great extent. And I think that is the fear that Mr. Narendra Modi is playing on. He is trying to capture that vote, particularly in urban middle-class India. But I have a problem with what he says, Karan, because the non-Congress, non-BJP parties amounted to 223 seats in the Lok Sabha last time. Is Mr. Narendra Modi saying that the voters who voted are third-rate people who don't know what they voted for?
Quite right. But let's not go into Mr. Modi, because I want to stick to the third front. But it's a very good point to raise. Let me bring in with you, Jai Panda, some of the practical problems a third front will actually face. No matter how well it does, you're going to be dependent on outside support, either from the Congress or from the BJP. And that was true of the United Front. It was true of the National Front before that. Now, as a BJD member, whose outside support do you prefer? That of the Congress, your opponents and rivals in Orissa, or that of the BJP with whom you spectacularly broke in 2009?
Karan, let me just put that in context, and I will answer that. Two quick points first. Nirja just talked about this issue about instability, and I agree with her, and I want to take it further forward. The current government, the UPA government, has had 10 years, and clearly that is a stable government. But I don't think Indians are very happy with it. I don't think stability. I think stability is overrated at times.
I agree. Now come back to my point, because we don't have all day.
In 96 and 97.
Come back to my point. I really don't want to talk about the instability fear, because I'm not taking it seriously either.
The point is we have. All right. So the point is, we have the BJD and Naveen Patnaik have made it very clear that we are equidistant from the Congress and the BJP. I don't want to go into the hypothetical area of whose support we will prefer, because arithmetic will determine lots of things, and there is a possibility that maybe we will not require either of their support. So let's not go into hypothetical areas.
Hang on a second.
The one other quick point I want to say,
I'm very intrigued by that last sentence. When you say there's a possibility you may not require either of their support, are you really seriously postulating a situation where the 11-party third front has a majority on its own?
I'm not going to contemplate on what the mathematics of the next parliament is going to look like.
Okay.
That's completely hypothetical. But I want to say something. Everybody, including you, Karan, keeps focusing on the contradictions in a possible alternative to BJP and Congress governments. Such contradictions exist in any coalition that you have. Even if you are going to have a BJP government, or like you have today, you have a Congress government, you have allies who contradict each other within that coalition. So that would be nothing different. I think it will depend on the skillfulness of managing those contradictions.
Hang on a second. I want to bring in Mr. Raja and point out to Mr. Raja why, in fact, the contradictions from within your potential third front are far, far greater than any potential contradiction within either the NDA or within the UPA. And that is to do with the fact, Mr. Raja, that you have rivals for the post of Prime Minister. Mulayam Singh wants it, Jayalalitha wants it, by all accounts Nitish Kumar would be happy to have it. Some people claim, no doubt, so does Mr. Jay Panda, that the best possible Prime Minister would be Naveen Patnaik, although he probably doesn't want it. But the problem is this, with so many claimants for the top job, who's going to get it? And that's where you're much more fragile than the UPA or the NDA.
I don't think so. It shows the strength of such emerging alternative, because there are many potential candidates. I have my own personal experience. When the United Front was formed, and there was a strong demand that Comrade Jyoti Basu should become the Prime Minister. But finally, that party decided not to take up that responsibility. Firstly, we tried for Mr. VP Singh. He said, I have taken a public position not to take any public office, so he refused. Then we tried...
Let's not go back to history. The point you're making is too many cooks make for a better broth. That goes against all logic.
No, listen, finally, we could elect Mr. Devagowda as Prime Minister. After him, Mr. Gujaral became Prime Minister.
And you had a very angry Mulayam Singh snarling from the sidelines for 18 months, and that was half the problem. You know, Derek O'Brien, we're talking about the contradictions that
was the past. Was is not is.
Mr. Raja, you answered my question about the present by talking about the past, so now let's stick to the contradictions you mentioned. You're right. Those contradictions brought the United Front down in 18 months. No, Derek, let me ask you a question. I don't want to put the contradictions of the Third Front to you. I want to put the problem the Third Front's emergence will create for you. Because the truth is, if they come into being alongside the NDA and the UPA, then parties like the TMC will suddenly be reduced to a single unit, which means you either won't count beyond the 19, 20 or 24 seats you get, or you will be forced to ally with either the UPA or the NDA to get relevance. That's the dilemma you face.
See, firstly, Mr. Rajas, on your program, you keep talking about this being the left front as part of this so-called third front. Even the left have the most contradictions. Where is the forward bloc?
Derek O'Brien, answer my question. This is the second time you're evading questions I'm asking you. Why not answer my question?
No, I'm not. Karan, I'm just prefacing my answer with only a single sentence saying that even the left, where is the RSP? Where is the forward bloc? They're not even in this left front.
Preface done. Preface done. Now come to my question.
Part of the left front.
Now come to my question, Derek O'Brien.
I will tell you. I will tell you what is the issue. All these permutations and combinations make very good fodder for television debate. But the bottom line is the parties fighting corruption.
Derek O'Brien, you're once again evading the question I asked you.
What is your question?
Thank you. I'll repeat it, then you answer it. I pointed out that if you have a credible third front in existence with the UPA and the NDA, parties like your TMC will be reduced to a single unit comprising no more than 20-odd seats, which means you'll either be virtually irrelevant in the new parliament, or you'll be forced to ally with NDA and UPA to gain relevance. That's the problem you face.
Here's the answer. Here's my answer. You cannot have a credible third front. You cannot. If the communists are part of that third front.
Well, hang on a second. You had a very credible UPA with the communist part of it from 96 to 98. So history proves you wrong.
You know, I'll tell you more about history. I'll tell you more about history. In the past, without going into names, there have been many communist general secretaries.
Derek O'Brien, this is not a history lesson. that we're teaching each other.
I'm not. You're talking about history.
No, I simply did it to
You're
illustrate.
talking about
I did it to illustrate your point.
You cannot have a credible front.
No, Mr.
You
O'Brien,
cannot have a credible front if the communists are there. They
all right,
become irrelevant.
I'll take that as your prejudice and underline it for the audience. It's only prejudice. The United Front experience proves you wrong. But let me elaborate that same point, which Derek O'Brien insisted on not answering, and put it like this. If those 11 parties do come together and form a credible third front, the reason it would be a problem for parties like the DMK or the TMC is that they'd either be reduced to a position of splendid isolation in Parliament, comprising no more than the handful of seats they get, or they're going to have to find relevance by suddenly joining either the UPA or the NDA. There's no other choice available for them.
That's absolutely correct. But I think the formation of these 11 parties, and more may come, is to shore up their chances in the coming elections. If you look at it, Samajwadi Party, graph declining. Janata Dal U, Nitish Kumar, graph declining. Janata Dal S, Devagowda, graph declining.
If not disappeared altogether.
Left parties, I agree with Derek. Mamta is holding her own. AGP, completely wiped out. BJD is holding its ground.
So the point you're making is they need new entrants to give them fresh blood?
No, they need to hang together to create a psychological impact in their own respective states. Which
in terms of hanging together, they made a great start yesterday. They looked very united. There's no reason to question they can't succeed and pull it off. Let's take a break and come back and ask another critical question. If they do hang together, and I'll concede there is an if there, but if they do hang together, what sort of problem does the third front create for the BJP and for Congress? Because they too might suddenly find that the new entrant on the block is not, from their point of view, very welcome. See you in a moment to find out.
होमवर्क? हाँ, कल मैं कराता हूँ तुझे होमवर्क।
Life is in between all the things we never seen. It gets so simple and it's fun. Hey, 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 ho, ho. We're gonna chase the sun. Hey, 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 ho, ho. You and me, babe, on the run. So let's take a stand. We're gonna make no plans. We'll make every day grand.
The new Samsung Galaxy Grand 2. How far will you go to make the everyday grand?
रुको रुको रुको, मैडम लड़कियां पानी भरने जा रही हैं।
बड़े बाबू
जी मैडम।
स्कूल लड़कियां कहाँ हैं?
टाइम कहाँ है मैडम, 2-4 कोस दूर जाना पड़ता है पानी भरने के लिए। मैडम जी इससे क्या होगा?
बड़े बाबू वीजा डेबिट है, आसानी से इंटरनेट पे भी चलता है। वेरीफाइड बाय वीजा होने के कारण आपके कार्ड को पासवर्ड सुरक्षित रखता है।
पढ़ लिख गई तो सासे सखियों खाली कुआं भर जावेगा। बड़ा मकोड़ा छोटी कीड़ी।
लड़कियां स्कूल नहीं जा सकती तो स्कूल तो लड़कियों के पास आ सकता है ना।
वीजा डेबिट, ड्रीम टू एडवांस।
The limited edition Chevrolet Enjoy. Chevrolet, find new roads. कोशिश को यकीन में बदलना, ना में हाँ ढूंढना, मुश्किलों को करना आसान, डर की आंखों में घूरना, दिल नहीं भटका, आंख नहीं झपकी, जो चाहा था पा लिया, फिर भी ये दौड़ नहीं रुकी।
मेरा एक विश्वास है, जिन्हें आज नहीं रोक पाता,
उनके आगे कल सर झुकाता है।
ऐसे ही अटूट लोगों के लिए है बजाज आलियांज का इन्वेस्ट श्योर प्लान। ये हर हालात में आपका फ्यूचर रखे सेफ। बजाज आलियांज, जियो बेफिक्र।
ये पानी मेरा है। मेरा है नहीं, मेरा है।
तेरा मेरा मत कर सासू, ये पानी तो सबका है। थोड़ा थोड़ा बांट लो इसको, ये पानी तो सबका है। कैसे ये मुश्किल हल हो
सबको ये सोचना है, पानी बर्बाद नहीं करेंगे, थोड़ा थोड़ा इस्तेमाल करेंगे।
ऐसे भविष्य से बचने के लिए पानी बर्बाद ना करें और बारिश के पानी का संरक्षण करें।
जल्दी करो वरना केक कटिंग मिस हो जाएगा।
बस
वन टच रीडिंग ओके।
छीले खुल के जिंदगी है खुशी यही छुपी।
वन टच रीडिंग ओके, जियो डायबिटीज के साथ खुल के।
Skin Baijayant, fine French perfumes for her.
This is TV18 and you are watching CNN-IBN.
Welcome back to The Last Word. We're discussing the possibility of a third front contesting the forthcoming elections. Neeraj Chaudhary, the BJP was hoping for support from parties like the AIADMK, the AGP, perhaps even the Biju Janata Dal. The emergence of a third front has effectively killed that possibility. So will the third front affect the BJP possibly more than Congress?
Yes, the answer to that is yes. But the scene is really open. What happens after the elections. But let me bring in another element. If there is a party that has the potential to stop the Modi juggernaut today, it's the Aam Aadmi Party. Whatever we may say, the upper middle class getting disenchanted, if they manage, say, to win 20 seats and prevent the BJP getting another 20, which would have gone to its kitty, the game will become wide open. And remember, the Congress will be more interested in propping up a third front kind of government, supporting it from outside, and hope to fight another day.
I'll take up your last thought in a moment's time. Let's take up your first thought first. Jai Panda, would you be happy to involve the Aam Aadmi Party provided they are willing to join you? Is that open?
Look, I think if there is going to be an alternative to a Congress or a BJP government, it would have to involve a wide array of parties. And the Aam Aadmi Party certainly has received support from the people of Delhi. And if it does receive more support and has a presence in Parliament, there's no reason that they would be untouchable for an alternative to the BJP or Congress.
Okay, that's a very clear yes. Mr. Raja, let's take up that last point made by Neeraj Chaudhary. Given that the polls suggest that the BJP looks likely to be the single largest, would you accept that the best hope for a third front government is with Congress support, which is precisely what happened when the United Front formed a government? And would that be acceptable to you? A quick answer.
No, firstly, it all depends upon the mandate given by the people. The number of seats all the parties, each party wins. And right now it is very hypothetical. But I can tell you one small point, that is, people of India always look for a non-right-wing secular alternative. How it will emerge and what basis that such an alternative will emerge, we will have to see after the elections.
All right. In other words, that's a very non-committal answer from you. Very quickly, Derek O'Brien, if, as perhaps the polls are also suggesting, the left does poorly, that's certainly what you believe, and the TMC wins the majority of the seats in Bengal, and that's certainly what you hope, would you then push that you should be made part of the third front and the left party is left out, so that you get over the problem of irrelevance that I've been haunting you with up till now?
See, Karan, there's no question of irrelevance. That's what I'm trying to say. These things come into play on May 15th. I think Nirja made a very interesting point, and I want to re-emphasize her point because I agree with her. I think except for the BJD and the AIDMK in this group of 11, from all available evidence, the others are in a weaker position. So we are in a position of strength. That's the reality.
Absolutely.
So that's why we are fighting alone. That's why we are fighting alone.
All right.
And you asked the question about the, and you asked me one more. Oh, fine, that's fine. That's
I very quickly asked, if you win the majority of seats in Bengal, will you seek to replace the left parties in the third front? Give me a yes or no, because I'm right out of time. A yes or no?
The left have been replaced in Bengal already 2 years ago.
I'll take that as a convoluted yes. I'll take that as a convoluted yes from the spokesman of the TMC, who this evening has never given me a straight answer, but he's always done it. He's prevaricated with a charming smile, which is why we all like him so much. My thanks to all four of my guests. And if you have been watching, thank you very much indeed. Goodbye. Good night.